Hello, everybody. Welcome into Roosters on Olentangy River Road here in Columbus, Ohio. This is Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. A fun, casual conversation about the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 2 in the country, the Big Ten East champions, after beating Penn State on Saturday in the Horseshoe 28-17. That is the difference down there. Anthony Schlegel, that's the QB. Justin Zwick back again. He aced his test last week.
Yeah, I guess so.
And we got Mike Doss, the boss, right here for another week. And I mean, this one doesn't need much of an introduction. It's the game.
Yes, it is. It's rivalry week. I mean, this is what you wait for. This is why you come to Ohio State. This is part of the allure of being a Buckeye and knowing you get to play in one of the biggest college football rivalry, and I'm excited, so I'm looking forward to it.
Schlegs, you get hot for this one or what?
Yeah, peas. It's already hot.
He runs hot.
My peas hot, and it's on a Monday. Right? So now you got to sustain that. But, I mean, it really started yesterday for them. So after the game, you enjoy the victory over Penn State. Your Big Ten East champs. Guess what? When you come in the building on Sunday, there's maize and blues jerseys on the ground with stuff crossed out. You're stepping on them. There's banners in the weight room. It's a time for war on every speaker in the building. And, here's the difference, though. The difference is, for me, in this game, is that we train for this game starting after the national championship game, right? You're already thinking about it when you're doing push-ups and when you're doing sit-ups and when you're doing off-season conditioning and you're in the summer and then you're in camp. And throughout the season, right, you have your strip drills, maize and blues period. So we're training for it all the time. And so when it is that week, that automatic is, boom, flip the switch and you go. It's not this whole new thing. Right? It's like, it's rivalry week. It's just on us now. No, it's something that's ingrained in them throughout the entire year.
Yeah, and there are some different things that happen, but you're right. I mean, it's ingrained. They know that Sunday when they come in there, I mean, we used to have Hurricane Bruce come in and talk to the team.
Oh, my goodness.
And that was probably the one thing I missed the most about Ohio State. Right. Hurricane Bruce would come in, and Earl Bruce hated Michigan so much. And just everything, he would just fire you up.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then it's like, all right, now we're going outside and we're going to play with the band. You're going to do Script Ohio and all that kind of thing. But, you get that kind of stuff over with, and it's still ingrained in these kids. All right, it's Michigan week. We got the fun stuff out of the way. We know there's going to be some extra obstacles in the week just with different things that happen because it's such a big week. But all year long we've prepared for this. All year long we know how important this is. And so this – they just get right back to business once these other things are off the table.
Yeah, huge week. We'll obviously talk plenty about that rivalry as we go along here on Lettermen Live. But, that was a huge game on Saturday. The Big Ten East title was on the line. Ohio State clinched it, as I said, 28-17 over Penn State. They will be in Indianapolis next week, playing the winner of Minnesota and Wisconsin. But so that one on Saturday, I kept, right after the game, was talking with Berm and Tim May. I thought, man, that was just weird. It was just I didn't know what to make of the game. Even 2 days later, I'm in here talking to Schlegel before the show, and it's like, well, they could have put up 50 points in that game, and if Justin Fields doesn't fumble going in, maybe Penn State just quits.
Right.
But it's also kind of strange to complain about it, even with the turnovers, because they beat the number 8 team in the country by 11 points. Most teams are going to take that. But I don't know.
It's just something weird that happens. I think it seems to happen with Penn State in at least the last 5 years or so. I mean, 3-4 years ago we were there. They blocked the field goal, but it felt like we dominated that game the entire time. And they just somehow found a way. And then we start fumbling this Saturday, and I'm like, are we doing this again? The last 3 games have been 1-point games against a team that we were probably heavily favored against in all those games. And it just is like, what's going on? And it wasn't a 1-point game, but it just felt like we dominated the entire game. I don't know about you guys, but I was never worried.
Yeah, I wasn't worried. And here, the best part for me of it was how we started. Right, it was kind of like, all right, you never allowed a 200-yard rushing game this year. Boom, 91 yards in your face.
They allowed
for a touchdown.
75 per game on the ground going into it. And that was over on one drive.
Right, done. It's over, right? And so then, and that's why I think the game progressed the way it did from running the football, and we were able to do that. But it was a great learning tape for our offense. So it was like, hey, listen, at the end of the day, regardless of who you play, you still have to execute and take care of the football. The only way Penn State could even hang in that game is if we allowed them to, right? And so when you had a little bit of adversity of your key guys in being J.K. and Justin Fields turning the ball over and poor position, right? Like on our side of the 25. But what you saw a resilient defense that come out there. Yeah, they gave up a touchdown, and then they held them to a field goal on one. And you saw guys kind of come off like, hey, get your crap together, right? Let's go. Like, we're doing this for you. And that's the difference between this. It's an entire team. This last year would have been 52-51 Maryland, right? Instead, it was 20-11. We gained them 450 to 250. Yep. But and that's why nobody felt bad about it. Like, the game was always in control, but you just wanted to see that execution. The good thing is we were able to handle the environment. Bad conditions, cold. You're going to have that again this week. You understand what you have to do. You always have to take care of the football. If we take care of the football and we run the football the way we did, that game could have easily been in the 40s.
Yeah. Well, and just to add is, it was their first time playing for 4 quarters. So in the sense of truly having your team on the field for 4 quarters, you got a little bit of a lull there in third quarter. We gave up 2 turnovers, but it gave them a chance to get some conditioning, real bullets firing for the build-up for this week, because hopefully it shouldn't take us to 4 quarters. But, just building us into the Big Ten championship and later on down the season, that these guys got that experience and playing a little bit of adversity, change of the tide, sudden change. Let's go out here, see if we can stop them and compete. And we only gave up 10 points, which was huge.
Yeah, it was almost like Ryan Day went out there and was like, that second fumble for Fields, when the replay, I thought, clearly showed his knee down.
He was down.
Dave's like, you know what? Let's just see what happens.
Yeah. Right.
Go ahead and give it to him.
I think he liked that there was some adversity in this game. In the second half.
You wanted
it's like, hey, we haven't had to play a full game. Like Mike was talking about. We got some adversity, some real adversity.
Right.
We're only up a score here. And then you see on like a 4th and 5, he's going for it from the 40-yard line. On 4th and goal, he's going for it. Like, I don't think Ryan Day, I think he believes in his players, and I just think he's on a path.
He's on a mission.
Yeah, he's on a mission, exactly.
And I think the difference in him and, say, James Franklin was quite clear in that game. If that 4th and 5, going for it, and you saw 2+ territory punts from James Franklin early on, he did not want to do anything to pull out the stops to win that game. And if you don't, you won't.
Right.
Because you don't have the personnel to match.
You can't just expect Ohio State to just keep giving this ball to you on the plus side.
We're going to fold.
That's not going to continue to happen.
Our offense is going to stall. I mean, at some point, we're going to find a way to score. And he just needed to take a couple more chances, which he didn't, and it ended up hurting him in the long run.
Yeah. And so I've waited 3 or 4 minutes. That's pretty long for me, because this Heisman campaign is back going.
Let's go. All right. I'm on board.
It's almost like I can't wait. I just want to blurt it out. Like, Chase Young is so freaking fun to cover and watch. I mean, as Berm has said a bunch of times, like, when I'm doing my job, I'm not pulling for any team to win, but I pull for guys, and I love Chase Young. He is one of the best guys that I've got to know in covering this team in a long time. He's also one of the best football players that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yep.
And for him to come back, I thought it was special. And now 7 sacks in the last 2 games that he's played. If anybody thought that Heisman campaign was over, that I was going to stop talking about it, it is definitely back on now, Schlegs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he had 9 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 tackles for loss. Like, what are we talking about?
Sounds like one of your stat lines from back in the day, Schlegs. I don't know.
Really, put these 3 guys together.
Yeah, I know. Look at
that. Was that stat line. I mean, really, how he affects a game, and the fact that if this was the league, they would have had 10 holding penalties on Penn State. Like, that was ridiculous.
Right.
The guy should have had probably 6 sacks in that game.
Yep.
So and it's not just what he does from his stat line. It's the fact that they have to get the ball out quick because of what he does, or they have to roll away from him, and we understand that. Or, hey, if you want to single him and block him one-on-one, good luck, right? Don't have like a passing tree where there are a lot of developing routes, because he's getting after the quarterback. That could have easily been a safety, and he just changes the flow of the game and the juice, because the guys are excited to watch him, right? He makes everybody else on the field better.
I agree.
Right? I mean, our DBs play better because they have to get the ball out quicker. Our linebackers play better because he has great run fits.
Yep.
Like, he just makes everybody on that defense better. And that's why it's so fun to watch. And he 100% should be in the Heisman talk, because he, in my honest opinion, is the best college football player because of how he changes the game, period.
Yeah. You basically are going against offenses who have probably half of their playbook, because we don't have enough time to throw some of the other stuff that we have in our playbook.
Right.
You're basing your offensive calls on where is Chase Young.
Yes.
How many guys are we going to put over here? We got to have a tight end over here to maybe chip him before he gets out into a route. I mean, it just changes the whole dynamic of an offense that you're going against when Chase Young's on the field, in my opinion, because you have to account for him on every play. And then you just have everybody else who's really good on the defense to make other plays, when you're worried about Chase Young.
Justin, I thought even the quick stuff with Clifford early on that they were trying, I thought he still was his clock was still sped up because he was inaccurate with some throws that normally you would expect him to make. I mean, that's got to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a quarterback, I mean, when you get into a big game, you're a little fast, until you get settled in, So I think early on, that's probably what you're seeing. You're rushing. He knows all he heard about all week long was, hey, Chase Young's back. James Franklin saying, of course, Chase Young's back for a Penn State game.
Right.
So that's what he's thinking. And he's like, how good is this guy? Like, what did I get myself into here? He's like, I got a 3-step drive. I'm getting it. All right, I'm out. Don't hit me.
Go back and watch all the Rambos, and there was the lieutenant colonel and the colonel, and he always was like, "Who is this guy?" He's like, "You don't have to hunt him. He's gonna hunt you." I mean, he built up Rambo to this like mythical figure, and then he did. He came in and killed everybody. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's kind of what Chase Young is like. In a way.
Builds him up.
That's why we've got that Predator poster.
That's amazing.
I mean,
that's amazing.
The guy is special.
He is.
Still got a few more of those.
Look at that.
Yeah, but as far as the Heisman's concerned, I think if he goes out and has another game to match Penn State in the Michigan and then
the Big Ten championship.
That Big Ten, I mean, you got it.
He's going to be there.
That hype train will be right back on tracks.
And I think it's going to be really close because, I mean, what would you do? And that's the difficult thing. What would you do if you took Chase Young off of our defense and then you took Joey Burrows off of his offense, right? Like, where would they be? And, like, that's kind of what people are looking at. But just the stats that he's the hardest thing is Joey has put up stats that they've never seen from an offensive side in the SEC.
Yeah.
Nobody's seen. People have had stats, but nobody's changed the game the way that Chase Young does. And then also he's on an elite defense, right? So that takes a little bit away from him as well.
An elite team.
Right.
On an elite team.
And also with two other Heisman candidates.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just phenomenal.
Doss.
Hey, I mean, the stats.
Would you have liked having a guy like that? I mean, you had some good guys on that defensive line. Don't get me wrong.
Will Smith.
Yes, I mean Darian Scott. I mean,
Adrian.
But
a guy like Chase Young, when you know that ball, and the style of play has changed too. It's more RPO. We didn't have a lot of that back then.
Yep.
I mean, but just imagine Drew Brees knowing that Chase Young is coming off the edge. Oh, he's definitely letting that ball go.
Even as a DB, I mean, are you taking more chances because
absolutely?
Chase is probably going to get there. If I get burned, he's not going to have time to get over.
Here's a prime example. Pete Werner had a great game this last game, defensive player of the game. But when they have a really good tight end, right? Like that's all they really had. They never had really. They weren't hitting us over the middle or deep balls with their wide receivers because they couldn't do it against our secondary. So they had to hit the five yogis, right? And then you had a guy like Pete Werner who is athletic and fast. Boom, he's right there in the hip pocket. Yeah, the guy's going to make a good throw. Hey, guess what? It's okay. It's a 5-yard gain. Then you try to come back and run the ball. Nope. Now it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. So right, good luck. So now 70% of your playbook's out, and now he gets to tee off again. Like that's what he does, and that's what we were able to do in that game. Though we had some turnovers, we still kept him in that 3rd and medium, 3rd and long, to where they just couldn't just keep moving the chains.
Their offense never got comfortable. I mean, their quarterback, the backup quarterback, no matter who was in there, they could not get comfortable enough to even make a positive, a great decision. Even the interception by Hilliard, the guy literally just threw the ball blindly. He
get out of my hot potato. Hot potato. I don't care where it's going.
Yeah, the tight end's back was to him, I think. But it was like
Justin Hilliard just like,
he threw it. Here we go.
That was great coverage by Pete. And again, going back to Justin Hilliard, at the end of the day, on senior day, 5th-year guy, worked his face off, right? When called upon, you respond, and he made a pick that ended the game, right? Like that's what you want. That's what you want to see. Yeah. And for me, this is one of the best defense that we've ever had at Ohio State. There's really not a week collectively as a whole. Talent, everybody that's there, they can play with anybody offensively that you have there in the country. They can match them.
They're giving up 10.5 points a game. That's pretty good. That's phenomenal.
Number one scoring offense, number one scoring offense. That's pretty good. We got a lot more to talk about with these Buckeyes. We're going to take a quick break with a word from some of our friends here at Roosters. We'll be right back with more Lettermen Live.
Hey, college football fans, it's Zach Bourne here. You need to check out BetDSI.com. BetDSI is a great way to use your sports knowledge to make some extra cash. That's right. BetDSI is the top-rated online sportsbook. They've been paying winners for over 20 years. The reason they've been around that long is because they have got the fastest payouts in the industry. Plus, the user interface and mobile site is the best in the business. Play, win, and get paid. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, esports, reality TV, virtually anything. You can bet it, You can bet on it at betdsi.com and get paid right now. There's no better way to add some excitement to games that you already are watching. Check out their live betting, where you can bet on games throughout the entire matchup, every play, and every minute until the end. BetDSI has a special deal for Lettermen Row fans. Use the promo code ROW100 to get a 100% bonus match. That's more than double. That's right, more than double your money to start winning today. Once again, go to betdsi.com and use promo code ROW100 and get this limited 100% bonus offer to make some extra cash on the sports you know and love. BetDSI promo code ROW100. Now back to the show.
All right, hey guys, welcome back into Roosters. It's Lettermen Live. Getting ready for the game this week on Saturday, Ohio State at Michigan. We're talking, guys, about Chase Young and that Heisman. There's another defensive end that's fascinating for me right now, and it's one who may or may not play. Jonathan Cooper, he's got the option to play one more game, but he's decided to redshirt and come back next year, which is, I mean, just a huge bonus for Ohio State in the long term. But I'm curious when you guys think he should play if Ohio State lets him go, because you've got the rivalry. I'm sure he wants to play. You've got a Big Ten championship game, and then maybe you've got a semifinal or a college football playoff opportunity, and you got one time to use him. I don't know when the best time is. What do you think, Jay-Z?
I say national championship.
I say you go Michigan game.
Let it go now?
You let him go out and play in this Michigan game that, you know, you want to almost go into the playoffs knowing who's going to be on the field, you know, and seeing them on tape and getting those reps at the end of the year. I don't think you want to wait and put somebody who hasn't played in 3 or 4 games in, you know, down the road.
Yeah.
I think you let him go on the Michigan game end of the year. I mean, you know he's going to, you know, hopefully he's going to be back next year if they allow it. I don't know if they have it or not
He
yet,
actually has a red shirt available.
Okay, yeah. So he does have it.
Yeah.
You know, I think you just let him go and get those gold pants and be a part of that, and then, you know, just sit back and help his teammates prepare for the Big Ten championship game or the playoffs, but, you know, maybe just not have him in the fold for that.
Doss, you said title game?
I say title game. I mean, if the rules are as they say, he can play one more legitimate game, and it doesn't matter which one it is.
Correct.
I would hold him for the national championship game. He'll have 2 months to get healthy.
That's true. He does have a lot of time off.
He has a lot of time to get healthy, study, and continue to teach, and it keeps him engaged versus just play this game and you just kind of like, you're still teaching, but you're just not as involved. But if you know, hey, coach is going to pull the trigger maybe in the playoff CFP, then you got a chance to keep that energy, keep those guys revved up, and lead it and use that momentum into spring.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one of those things.
I see Coach Schlegel is thinking about it over here now.
I mean, you know what? I totally agree. I
agree with both.
I understand what you're saying.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Because really, at the end of the day, if he doesn't play in any,
right,
and you go to the semifinal and he doesn't play and we happen to lose that, is that having that one more game really going to matter? Plus, he's a captain, so I think he's automatically going to be engaged, serving his teammates, because this is a very selfless team.
Yes.
And I understand what Justin says, because you want your guys prepared, ready to go. Like, why would we have them in the Big Ten game and not the Michigan game? Does it really matter? You want the guys and the horses that you're going to battle with, like, ready to go, so you're not taking reps away from them. Yeah. But then I also like Mike's point to where it's like now you got even more weapons at your disposal for that potential game that they haven't seen yet, right? And he could add a lot of value there. So my answer is I don't know.
Buckeyes.
Yeah, go Bucks.
Yeah, go Bucks. Big answer, man.
It's I can dominate.
That's it. Hey, that's why they pay them.
Yeah, that's right. That's why Coach Day is making all that money. Yeah.
Exactly.
I tend to side more with Doss on this one, just from the argument that Jonathan Cooper's ankle is clearly not right, or else he wouldn't have made this decision. Like, he could have. I told Schlegel earlier that he could have played against Penn State. He could have played against Michigan. Big Ten title game and maybe 2 playoff games. That he could have played 5 more games. Yeah, he wouldn't have had the season that he wanted. Missed a lot of opportunities to maybe impress NFL scouts. But you could have got a lot out of that if you were in a hurry to leave.
Yeah,
but the fact that he, went through this month, and 2 weeks ago I saw him. He was either before Maryland or Rutgers, and this is a guy who always has a smile on his face.
Oh, yeah.
And he was down.
It
was the first time I've ever seen him not smiling after a practice, and I was like, okay, this might really not happen for him this year. And everybody feels bad for him, but if he came to this decision on his own, which he did, that he gets to be himself next year, and maybe he plays in a postseason game, whatever, it doesn't matter. Play one more game, whichever one he wants to do. I think it'll really be up to him more than the coaches. Unless it's an injury situation. But
yeah, with that ankle not being 100%, that's probably the much better way.
He has to be
100%.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is put him out there, he injure it, and now you're not going to be able to utilize him at the beginning of next year. Like he needs an entire off season to even get better, right? Like it's an opportunity because the focal point has been on Chase.
Right.
But when he comes back, he's also the senior. You got young guys. Sophomores now, right? They're freshmen now. They'll be sophomores. Some juniors, like you can still be the leader and potentially be the guy, right? But you had to have him healthy in order for him to do that. And losing a leader as in Chase and some of the other guys you have up front in Hamilton and BB,
well, the whole defense, Malik Harrison. You're probably going to lose Jeff Akuta, Damon Arnett, Jordan Fuller. Who knows what Sean Wade's going to do? I mean, that's going to be a rebuild defense.
That whole secondary is out of there.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of.
We've seen that. We've seen that though. They just reload. Put these guys back in. But you got to think him. He knows they're going to have a decent. We're going to have a good offense next year.
Yeah.
Right. So he's like, hey, we're going to have a good year. This year is kind of a wash for me. I want to do this. I want to be a part of that team next year and do something special in my senior year when I'm playing all these games.
Yeah, because you're still going to have Justin Fields out there next year leading that offense. That's the professional segue right here to get it to that offensive side of the ball. Lots of people asking me about the ankle injury, rolling it late, hand, hip, everything that he's been dealing with the last couple of weeks. I'm told it's just nothing but soreness for Justin Fields, that there's no actual injury concern. But there were a lot of people on Saturday holding their breath, Justin, because this guy, he makes it go.
I think I yelled at the TV. What are we throwing the ball for? Hand it off. Come on, you got to protect my quarterbacks.
I was in the stands with holding my breath like, please, just take a deep breath, shake it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
when he got up and put that bounce in his run, I was like, oh,
he's fine.
Yeah, and we knew all year long if something were to happen to Justin Fields, more than likely this year doesn't go. Knock on wood. It doesn't probably go the way it has. He's just a special player, and they kind of pieced that quarterback room together right before the season started. Hey, we got a new guy from Georgia and nobody else. Who wants to come? We're taking. I almost went and tried out. With a mustache and Justin Zwick. But it's like they're looking for people. So
come off the street.
Yeah, so they knew that if he goes down, we're going to be in trouble. And he's fought through it. But the thing about this, and you guys would know more than I would because I was a quarterback. Everybody's banged up in the Big Ten at this point in time.
Gosh,
you're going into that last game of the year. Nobody on Michigan feels 100%. Nobody on Ohio State feels 100%. It's just that's what you do as football players. You get ready to go.
You get as healthy as you can feel. You try to stay as strong as you can, and it's adrenaline. This is a rivalry game. It's pure adrenaline for 4 quarters, 60 minutes, however you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you're going out there and you're laying it on the line for the 60 minutes, and then you take the next 24 hours to start preparing for the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I think that with what Justin has gone through, you really are excited, you really are happy the way that our games have gone this year. Because think about how much more banged up they would be if they played all 4 quarters every single game.
He's having to run the ball more.
21 times on Saturday.
So, and some of those things are to win the game. Like at the end, like the one thing I came away from that game, it's like, man, we really didn't utilize Olave in the vertical game like I thought we would, right? Yeah. Part of that is time. There was a couple of them where we had some guys open across the middle, but he had people in his face, right? So there were more developing plays. The ones that were quicker outside, we had some drops earlier in the game, which looked very similar to Wisconsin, right? Guys had to start adjusting, but the running game was going so well, and we got to a point where it was like, we had a 4-point lead, and then what do? You use your horses to win the game. Yeah. You run JK, you run Justin Fields, and it got to that point to where we got to make sure we win the game. Yeah. The possessions matter, the field position matter, move the chains matter, and so when you do that, you use him, and he took a little bit more punishment, but I think that we got to utilize more of that vertical passing game. One, it continues to open up the running game, but it will keep him protected a little more from when
it got to 4, and you needed to win the game, where did they go? Who made the play?
Right.
Chris Olave. I don't think, guys, that they can play another game this year where he finishes with 2 catches.
I agree.
I just don't think that can happen. That's not a winning formula.
He's too much. He has too much talent. I mean, Garrett Wilson got to get a couple more. I mean, he's a big physical.
Well, he made
receiver.
a great play in the first quarter.
You gotta give these guys some opportunities down the field. I think this week Michigan will challenge us. They're going to have to stop the run. So they're going to come down with 8, potentially 9-man fronts, a lot of disguises. They're going to run some zone dogs, and they're going to put the pressure on their corners to stop our receivers, and we got to go make those plays.
Well, last year we had a lot of crossing routes, right, because they were playing a lot of man, and Don Brown has actually changed a little bit in the scheme. It was like, hey, you know what we got to do? We have to play a little bit more man within the zone, because that's what you saw in the Penn State game. As soon as they knew they had man, what do? They motioned J.K. out of the backfield. They had man. You had 4 D linemen and a linebacker on 5 offensive linemen and Justin Fields. That's why we went there, because he could say, I could pass it or I can run for it and get a first down. That was open. So if Michigan wants to do that, you'll see more of that. We're going to take what they give us, but ultimately I think for the production and for securing that win and having a better running game, we definitely got to be able to throw the ball and catch the ball down.
I think throwing the ball vertical in last week's game, the way it kind of started off, feeling like it was going to be another blowout. I don't know if Coach Day maybe didn't just pull the reins in a little bit, because when you open the game and you go 91 yards, basically running the ball right down their throat. That next series should be play action way over the top, you know? I mean, or something along those lines at some point in that first half.
Building it up.
And you didn't feel like we were taking those shots. I don't know if it was the weather. I don't know if it was the wind. I wasn't down there. I don't know how bad that was.
Or it could have been it was right off the fumble, right? So he was going in on that to go up 14, and he fumbled the ball. Like, do I not want to put him in the position to where he potentially throws
something
the pick?
bad happens.
Right. So
exactly.
Let's get this in hand, and we start doing this.
We're running the ball. You're probably right. Running game was working real well. Hey, why do this? We feel like we're going to win this game pretty. Let's not give Michigan anything to look at.
Well, because there were a bunch of people that were worried after that game, like, oh gosh, that was that big game, like Urban going too conservative, like Jim Tressel ball sitting on it. I'm like, well, he went for it on 4th and 5, as Justin said early on. Like, he showed some pretty big balls.
And then he went for it on 4th and goal right after that.
There were opportunities to kick field goals and try and play field position in that game, and Day did not do that early. But I think to your point, once it got to that second half, now the fumbles changed things, but it did sense. I got the sense that they're like, okay, let's get out of here. Yeah. There's still a lot of big-time football left to be played. To me, it wasn't a concern, because Day had shown enough aggressiveness in every other circumstance. So I'm like, that's out of character what's happening right now. But they won the game.
Well, I think leading into this week, Michigan has everything to prove, right? What do we have to prove? We've already made it to the Big Ten Championship. We're probably going to be in the CFP, but it is rivalry week. Yeah. And what we want to do, as Coach Day's first game as the head man, he wants to make a statement. So he's coming out to make a statement to let Michigan know, hey, this is what it is. Yeah. Nothing's going to change no matter who's at the helm. And I'm going to put my best foot forward. I think Justin's right. He probably held back a little bit on some down the field, but we know, this Saturday at noon, Olave, Wilson, J.K., J.K.'s averaging 145 all-purpose yards. He's going to touch the ball a lot, and we're going to put it on Justin's shoulders to win the game.
And this is also the orchestrator of 66 points of last year.
Last year, the same,
what I'm saying?
the same person making the calls.
Exactly, man. And that's what you see. That's what's going to be going into this week. And it also, I think that they're ready for this, right? There's
they're
enough.
Built for this.
Yeah, they're built for this particular game. They've already established, but they also know the importance of it, right? Because at the end of the day, moving forward in the CFP, where are we versus LSU and Ohio State? Yeah. It is close. I would say you want to be one, because you're probably going to play in Oklahoma or Utah versus playing 2 and 3 versus a Clemson, right? Who doesn't look that way? I'd much rather have an LSU play a Clemson and us play an Oklahoma. Again, we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. But when you look at what the ultimate goal is to get to the championship game, right? That's what you want. We had to go out in 14 and play Alabama, and guess what? We beat them at their game, which was toughness. And then when we played Oregon, it was
they didn't have toughness.
Yeah, it was automatic. As soon as you walked on the field, you saw it, man. They were just not built for this. We are, but so is Clemson. They're like that.
Well, Clemson is the team nobody's really talking about, because it was just early on, well, they're only up there because they won last year. They almost got beat by UNC, and then everybody kind of stopped talking about them. They've been at 3. They've been demolishing people. Right. Lawrence is back on his game, it seems like. That's
Dabo loves
I would rather be one playing 4 than.
Yeah, he's going to have a motivated team. They've got a couple easy ones left. Ohio State has a huge one on Saturday. We'll be back right here on Lettermen Row to break it down again after a quick word.
Hey Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for 2 to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 lower-level tickets. One bowl prize winner chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at your favorite Roosters or at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
All right, Schlegel saved it. He's got that mac and cheese bite for the final segment here on Lettermen
Get
Live.
some of that.
Brought to you by Roosters. Well, he's actually okay. That's a whole one down. He actually had half of a.
Did you get those just for Schlegel? That's why I said Schlegel on.
Well, I said,
okay, I
this
got
week
it.
I planned ahead. I made my coaching adjustment. I said I'm getting him too because he's going to keep going on those.
I can't help it, man.
Okay. So we talked a little bit about the stakes this week, and I think Justin's right. I've started to come around a little bit. I was writing about it on Saturday and thinking about it yesterday. It's like, man, it just doesn't feel the same because I know that Ohio State is in position to go to the playoff even if they lose on Saturday. I was like, is Ohio State going to really care? And everybody is like, and I know what it means to the team. Mm-hmm. I know what it means to Ryan Day. But it was just weird to get out of my own head and think about the national perspective and what happens on Saturday. I'm back to understanding that the gold pants trump everything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Okay.
So I've been over the map. I've been all over the map, but now that the week is here, I'm fully on board of what this means. You guys have all been through it. What does the game actually mean to you guys?
I mean, it means everything. I mean, I came here in '99, and I mean, I can't believe it's been 20 years. Came here.
How about that, man?
I came here in '99.
Jeez, you are old.
And I actually had an opportunity to start as a true freshman in D game, okay, against Tom Brady. Sacked him, strip fumble. We get momentum. Jonathan Wells makes the greatest run that wasn't a touchdown, and gets down to like the 6-yard line. We get a false start, a holding penalty, miss a field goal, and it just changed momentum of the game. And I just remember just having that sick feeling, being up there, hearing that crowd go crazy, and realizing I just lost my first shot, getting my gold pants. And then the following year with Coach Coop here at home in the shoe, we had a decent team. We competed, and we were right there in the hunt, and we lost again. Right, with Henson and David Terrell and these guys. So now Tress comes in, new man, makes the statement, hey, in 300-something days, you're going to be proud of our squad when we go up to Ann Arbor. And as Schlegel said, that whole season of preparation, as what they continue to do now, is every extra second that you have, you prepare for this game. So these kids, young men, Buckeyes, have been training for this since the day after national championship with the countdown, the clock, all these things. So when we go up there in 2001, and I have 2 INTs, kick their ass, right? Get the first win since 1987.
And your quarterback started his first game that game.
Right.
Yeah. Jonathan Wells had like 150 yards rushing in the first half.
Right.
Yeah.
And to that rivalry means everything. Like those two different perspectives from 99 to 01 at their place. Like you want to go into their place and you want to just stomp on them, just put your foot on their neck and break it. Like when you go hunting. What you say when you gut when you gut that boar?
That's real.
Yeah,
It's real. It's real. So I know the guys are excited. I mean, the allure of the week is going to build up, right? You're sitting at 11-0. It's just a build up. Okay, these are formalities every day, practice this and that. But when Saturday gets here, those guys are going to be gung ho, ready to go and shoot their guns.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why you come to a place like Ohio State. I mean, you know that game is at the end of the year. You know how important it is. I kind of feel like some of the luster of the game has kind of gone away because we've owned them since 01.
It's the century. I mean, you guys have taken over the century.
It really.
16-3.
So I think the casual fan is probably like, it's Michigan.
Think about that.
It's Michigan. We beat them every year.
Yeah.
It's almost turning into like a Rutgers. in a way.
The state,
we beat them.
State University of Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. We beat them. So it's not. But for guys like Mike played in the late 90s when it was like that didn't happen every year.
Right.
This was the game, and this was the game that we needed to win to go on to do other things back then, and it never happened.
Never happened.
And then now it's just I think we've just gotten so lucky that we win every year. It's just like. It's still a huge thing to the players. I mean, I came in with a bunch of guys who were from Ohio. You were from Ohio. You grew up the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry. My dad had a big van, the tire cover was the Big Ten with a Brutus the Buckeye stepping on a Wolverine. That's real. And it said "Life's tough in the Big Ten." That was what I rode around in back in the day. And that's what I grew up with. So it's like you just knew there was that game, and it's still special to this day for even an old guy like myself.
Yeah. So I'm not from here.
Yeah. So you give us that perspective.
And here's the thing: like in my college career, probably my number one greatest thing that I remember was being named a captain as a sophomore at the academy before I transferred. And number two would be the wins against Michigan my junior and senior year, period. Like, that's it. Because everything that you do in 04, just remember this, like they came in, highly touted, should have beat us, right? We ended up beating them like 37-21, and then we go up there in 05, and Bobby gets hurt on the very first play, and James has to come in. We have to make a comeback, and we played really well. And the thing I hang my hat on the most of all those games is the amount of rushing yards they had, because that's how you win this game.
Yes.
It's the toughness game. It's us versus them. Who is tougher? It's inside drill. It's everything that I embodied as a player was in that game, and we beat the dog piss out of them, during it from a rushing standpoint.
Right.
And we won those games. And I remember, like, the 05 gold pants that I got as a senior are my most prized thing that I got a national championship ring. I got Big Ten rings. Like, you couldn't have those if we didn't beat them
exactly.
in 05, right?
Exactly.
So it's like, because I got those, right, like, if I had to give them away to my kids and my wife, I'm keeping the 05. Like, that's mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I had the opportunity to be a coach, and you win them as a coach. And it's like, I know what all those guys went through, and then I realized all the different training that we had throughout the year to get them locked in and focused on accomplishing the mission of beating Michigan. And it's like, that's what it's all about. There's nothing else like it in the country, just like there's nothing else like the brotherhood that is Ohio State football across the country outside the academies. It is a special thing, and it's something that we can all go back and talk to each other about the times that we had during that, or sipping some Crown at the end of the game and Trent's walking around like, what the hell, Bobby stuck it in or whatever, right?
Exactly.
It's, like, those are stories that you remember, and it's being physically exhausted after the game because you spilt it for your teammate, and you're just sitting there, and like, you can hold the bus as long as you want. I'm exhausted. Right? I'll take these pads off when I'm good and ready. I'm soaking this in, and you're soaking it in with your teammate, and that's just what makes it so special.
Yep. And just to add, as you stated, that 0-1 to win, that game on their field, to take the flag and run around the big house, to see our crowd against the wall, screaming and going crazy because it's something that hadn't been done in over 14 years. So it was like that experience of building that rivalry, bringing that tenacity back to the heat of the rivalry was a lot of fun. And my hat's off to Jim Tressel, just to give him a highlight based off going into that spring practice. We watched every quarter of the previous game every Saturday. So we watched us lose and how we lost. And Coach broke it down to the fine points of a third down here, an inch here, or a holding penalty there. And he built that energy, that vibe of, I don't want to let my teammates down. I want to be there for Slegs. I want to make sure what I do in this game matters. So whatever I can bring to the table, me at DB or Will Smith at defensive end or Krenzel at quarterback, like whatever I'm bringing to this table as a collective unit, we are representing the Ohio State, the state of Ohio in this rivalry, and he just built it up to where
it's one of the best things Tress did, I think, other than recruiting really well, was he putting that emphasis on the Ohio State.
And he was pushing it, and you guys got it over the hump to where it needed to be back. And
9-1.
9-1.
Because I hear this all the time. Like, I have this conversation with Berm probably 365 days a year. I've been covering this team for 8 years. You guys have lived the rivalry a hell of a lot longer than me. But, like, so he went through the 90s, and he's like, I'm nervous every time. Like, I don't feel good about picking Ohio State. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I go through the same storylines every single year. Oh, Michigan's got this brand new quarterback. Jim Harbaugh's rolling. They're
really good. They're rolling.
The last 4 weeks, Michigan's offense has got it going. I'm like, come on, prove it in this game, because I've never seen it happen. I've only been to 7, but every single time I hear the same storylines and I see the same result. So it's just a different. It's wild because you guys turned that. You guys were all part of that, and how the rivalry has shifted. Because now, you're right. People look at this rivalry now; they don't even remember the '90s. But you guys who've been through it, you remember how much it hurt.
I remember. I remember. Clearly remember. Tim Biaka-Batuka is just a name I can throw out there.
Yeah.
I'm like,
like 300 on you guys.
Didn't know who that guy was until that day.
Nobody else did either.
I didn't know who he was. He ran for 321 yards, and I just was like a kid just sitting here watching like, well, we got Eddie George.
Yeah, what's going on here?
Right.
Eddie should have all those.
And that's also the cool thing about this game is, like, why do you know Chris Olave? Chris Olave had a huge Michigan game, right?
Yes.
Like,
legends are made in this game.
They 100% are. Like, I had great games in these games. Like, that's what you have to do for us to win.
That's how you get a T-shirt made.
That's how you get T-shirts made, right?
Shout out to Amish.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But it's like that's what happens in these games. Troy in 06, they get like Gonzalez catch in 05. Like, all these things happen in this game, and people remember this one because all eyes in America are on this one. Yeah. Right, more so than anything else, and that's what you go back, and that's why it's fun, and that's why it means something, and that's why you prepare all year for. And I think that's been the biggest difference ever since Tress got here, going with Urban and now and Coach Day, is the fact that it means, I believe, more to us than it does to them because of how we train for it. This will be a fantastic year because for the first time, I actually think that team is actually peaking at the right time. Like, they got a little bit of momentum on their side. But here's the deal. They haven't faced anybody
has
like
a plan
us.
until you get punched in the mouth,
until
right?
they get hit.
Mike Tyson
Get
said
hit.
that.
Right. And they're going to get hit on Saturday at noon.
And that's that same storyline.
Yeah, we've heard that before, right?
Talking yourself into it like it's going to be a game.
You want it to be a good game. I want it to be a good game.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I want to win, but
they have former Ohio State coaches on their staff, so he knows. Warner knows how.
And we have former Michigan guys.
Who would have thought that would ever happen? What kind of world are we living in?
Yeah, I mean,
cats and dogs.
Yeah. Hey, you can't beat them, then join them. I mean, and we've improved our defense, and I just imagine last year's defense, this year's defense, going against the same quarterback, going against the same receivers.
Oh, yeah.
And how bad these guys want to kick their former coach's asses.
Oh, yeah.
So at the end of the day, that's going to bring a whole nother level of energy throughout the week. I mean, you're going to ask those guys the tough questions. Hey, you were on the other side last year. Now you're on this side. You know, how does that feel? And, you know, that's going to build up. And at 12 o'clock, hey, we're going to see.
That's right.
We're going to see it go.
All right, it's Saturday at noon. Let's do it. Let's get to the end of the show here. Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. You guys know what time it is. I don't think I have to ask twice who's going to win, but let's hear some scores here.
It's what, 62-39 last year?
I know,
so many points.
I said 66. I don't know. I gave
it could have been more.
Yeah,
Urban was driving for that extra one until the late injury there for Demetrius.
Are you going first? What do you got?
I don't know.
I got 38-17.
I was going to go 38-something.
I got 38-17. I just think the biggest thing is, just like last week, if we execute and don't turn the ball over and play great in special teams, we win this game handily, and I actually think it'd be 38 probably in less than 17.
Yeah.
But, again, this game, it's competitive. I just don't know. But based on what I've seen from our guys, if we come out there and execute the way that I think we can, it's 38 or more and 17 or less. Bam. That's all I got.
Yeah, I think having those fumbles last week kind of helps the coaching staff refocus.
Yes.
Let's think about
fundamentals.
Yeah, fundamentals. Get back to that, because if we don't have those, we blow that team out.
Sure.
We can't do it again this weekend. So I think I don't think you have any type of those types of plays. 42-13.
I like it, though.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Let's go. 42-13.
I mean, it's rivalry. It's going to be heated at first, but I could just see our defense just. I mean, Chase, we didn't even bring his name up in this game. I mean, just imagine what impact he's going to have here with Shea Patterson. And the way that Michigan offensive plays develop, they're long developing plays.
Yeah,
they don't have a
I don't recommend that this week.
I don't really.
It's something else to think about for this game. That backup comes in last week. He had a little, some success. I mean, not a ton of it. Running and keeping plays open. Shea Patterson can do that. So I think it was actually good that we got to play that second half against the quarterback that way, so they can say, listen, we're going to see this next week. We got to contain Shea Patterson so he doesn't make those same types of plays.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm kind of in the Justin boat. I think it's going to be like 45-10. I don't really see it being close. It may be in the first quarter, and then after that, we just go wild. I just think those guys are going to be too amped up. They know what's at stake. Chase and those guys are going to play their asses off. And I think that secondary has something to prove. I mean, you got Nico, you got Peoples Jones. I mean, these guys got some big they got some big talent on the edge, but these guys, Okuda, Arnett, they're chipping at the bit.
All of our defensive guys are going to hear about how good their offense is going, so they're going to say, no, not so fast.
I'm going 45-10.
Momentum and motivation, that's not going to be a problem for Ohio State. They've got the better team. That's just a fact.
Yep,
I predicted 2 months ago that Ohio State would win every Big Ten game by double digits, so I can't back off of that now.
There you go.
42-10, I think I've got this week. Subject to change because I get to do it like 6 days a week. So
this is just your first one. This is a starting point.
We'll see how I go by the end of the week. But that's what I've got at the end of Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. The difference down there, Anthony Schlegel, Justin Zwick, the QB, Mike Doss is the boss for us out here. Great to have these guys and their insight. Again, it's the game. Can't wait. Saturday in Ann Arbor at noon. Lettermen Row will be there. We'll have full coverage all week, before, after, during, and everything. We'll be right back here next week to break it all down. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week from Roosters.
Go Bucks.
Let's go.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Lettermen Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buck IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.